Hey, welcome back to Fake Deep Thinking. We've been gone for a minute. John's been on a cruise. We have birthdays going on. It's the birthday seasons, but we are back to talk about some nonsense. Let's introduce the crew. We got John.
Wish.
What?
I
Doc,
know. What's up, y'all?
Ian in the figurative back,
Did he say fish?
That's what I heard.
Rubbish. Rubbish.
and myself,
Rubbish.
Eugene.
Maybe I should
He's
hold it with this hand. This is a left-handed cigarette.
left-handed rubbish. Is that how you feel about it? It's a left-hand day?
It's a left-handed cigarette. Now you know what a left-handed cigarette is, right?
No, actually, I don't.
Mm-mm.
The devil's lettuce.
Ah, that's what you mean.
Oh.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, left-handed cigarette. Well, John's gonna need that because I know John loves talking about these controversial topics, especially when it involves the entire world, and that is the obvious drama that's been going around that I'm sure everyone's heard about, and that is the fiasco going on in Palestine and Israel. So
He said Palestine like it was a country. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You did.
already. So if y'all haven't heard, Palestine or Hamas, I think specifically Hamas, decided to do some kind of evasion, Call of Duty style airdrop in, and they incorrect. And if I'm using the improper verbiage here, y'all don't feel free to correct me because I'm not trying to be too controversial here. But they airdropped in on from my understanding, a concert, like one of those concerts they have out in the middle of nowhere with a stage or whatever. There was one of those going out in the border of Israel, like right between the border and Palestine. Like it was apparently near the border. So Hamas decided to airdrop in. They apparently kidnapped a bunch of people, killed a bunch of people. They just they just went in. Israel responded in kind by declaring war and sent a bunch of bombs and bombed the heck out of Palestine. So there's some more nuance there. Some footage has been coming out on the internet that people have been going crazy trying to confirm if is this real or not. Is this real? It's propaganda because some of the videos, some of the footage has been very intense. Children being decapitated, women being raped, dragged through the street, kind of thing on the back of a car, kind of stuff. Very, very, very bad
Really
imagery.
not really religious, huh?
So I don't know how to start this, so that's why I'm gonna pull up this BBC article. We're gonna try to run through this to get an idea of where to start this conversation because I don't want to start off on the bat asking y'all which side do y'all agree with because I just think that's a dumb question, especially with the
Hindus never
rhetoric.
need to change their name.
So let me read this real quick, and then if something pops out, let's start from there because
Where,
this is
where from?
intense. Say that again, John.
Where's the article from?
BBC.
BBC.
The
Okay.
BBC.
Oh, you gotta restart the stream.
Damn,
What
hit
happened?
reboot.
All right. Sorry, y'all. Apparently, our bit rate and whatnot wasn't working too well or was kind of slow. I'm not sure the exact verbiage, Ian. So we had to restart that. So we are back. I left off. We're getting ready to read this BBC article. So let's start off there. What is Hamas and what's happening in Israel and Gaza? A really simple guide. Let's see how simple this is. Let's start off with what is happening in the Gaza Strip. Israel told about 1.1 million people in the northern Gaza, an area containing Gaza City and two refugee camps, to leave. It said they must move south of a river known as Wadi Gaza. The UN said the evacuation was not possible and warned of devastating humanitarian consequences. Hamas, which controls the Gaza Strip, told civilians to ignore the evacuation order. However, hundreds of thousands of people have fled. Women and young children were among many killed when a strike hit their convoy on one of two evacuation routes. Many of those who fled to the south of Gaza have arrived in Khan's Yunis. The city population has increased from 400,000 to more than a million, with many people sleeping on the streets. Hospitals and other essential services are severely stretched. Separately, Israel's military has announced plans to evacuate 28 communities near the border with Lebanon in northern Israel amid rising tensions there. What is the Rafah crossing and is it open? Rafah is the southernmost exit point from Gaza, bordering Egypt-Sinai Desert. There's only two other border crossings from and into the Gaza Strip: Erez, a border crossing with Israel in North Gaza, and Kerem Shalom, a solely commercial junction between Israel and Gaza. Both are shut. This makes Rafah the only possible entry and exit point. Hold on, real quick. Entry and exit point to and from Gaza for both civilians and humanitarian aid. But a number of Israel airstrikes have targeted the area since the 7th of October Hamas attacks. Early on Monday, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu denied reports of a ceasefire and to allow foreigners out of South Gaza and a humanitarian aid in through the Rafah crossing. U.S. nationals in Gaza had previously been told to move towards the crossing, which U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said will be open for aid and without giving timings. Skip some of this. How could Israel carry out a ground offensive? Israel's stated goal is to destroy Hamas. It also wants to rescue the hostage seized when Hamas attacked Israel. It now believes 200 people are being held in Gaza, up from an early assessment of 155. Israel has amassed tens of thousands of soldiers on its borders with Gaza, along with tanks and artillery. It has activated some 300,000 reservists along its standing forces of 160,000. The Israeli military has prepared for an offensive by dropping thousands of bombs on Gaza, targeting Hamas commanders and their control centers. One of its main targets is Hamas' vast labyrinth of underground tunnels, which link together its underground command posts. It is thought some of the hostages are in the tunnel network. I guess let's read this one, then let's get into it finally. What is Hamas and what does it want? Hamas is a Palestinian militant group which has ruled that Gaza Strip since 2007, which has ruled the Gaza Strip. The group is sworn to Israel's destruction and wants to replace it with an Islamic state. Hamas has fought several wars with Israel since it took power. It has fired or allowed other militant groups to fire thousands of rockets at Israel and carried out other deadly attacks. In response, Israel has repeatedly attacked Hamas with airstrikes and sent troops into Gaza during two of the wars. Together with Egypt, it has blocked the Gaza Strip since 2007 for what is described as security reasons. Hamas, or in some cases its military wing, the Izzadine al-Qassam Brigades, has been designated a terrorist group by Israel, the United States, the European Union, and the UK, as well as other powers. Iran backs the group, providing it with funding, weapons, and training. So, not to be as boring as do y'all support Israel or support Palestine, so I guess instead I'll ask to keep it home with when it comes to America. Do you think America should be involved in this, or should we let Palestine and Israel, hash this out themselves? Should we just basically chill on the sides and be like, y'all settle this, we'll make sure it doesn't get out of hand, if we even should do that? I'll start there.
I mean, if I'll be honest with you, I don't think we should be involved because this is something that they've been fighting for decades amongst themselves. The true, I guess, like the truth of the matter is that we have to be involved because we have so much information, or well, not information, but we have so much like policies and stuff that we've given Israel and traded back and forth. We're like,
Pretty sure they're also a direct ally too.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, we helped put them there at the end of World War II, and so like we're just we're just wound really tight together. So whether or not it's a choice for us at this point doesn't really matter. It's more so like how far does it escalate? I mean, we already sent two carriers. Like a carrier is an insane amount of firepower alone. It's able to repel some nations. So two of them is like, whoa, okay, like that's a wild amount of firepower. I think we only sent like 5 to take out or to engage like the Middle East after 9/11 or something like that. And that was like an entire portion of the continent that we just kind of dropped in on. So 2 is quite a bit. Like we basically gave them an air force, and I'm sure they have like their own air force as well and stuff like that.
Well, in regards to that too, I don't know how much of this is true. Take this with a grain of salt, because right now information is crazy. Apparently, I don't know if this is true. Ukraine has actually funded or provided some weapons, and apparently some of those weapons that were left behind in that withdrawal have found their hands into some of these. I don't know if it's Palestinian hands or not, but at the end of the day, if even if we don't want to be involved, we're involved because of the stupid stuff we've done that's led up to this. Be it funding or weaponry that we've directly given or inadvertently given. And I use the word inadvertently sparingly because I don't think it was inadvertently. But that's my conspiratorial mind. Y'all know how I am. You say something, John? I think you're muted.
No, I'm not muted. I haven't said anything.
Oh, sorry. I
Uh,
thought so.
I completely agree with Doc. I don't think we should be involved. We have no choice but to be involved because we need a Christian stronghold in the Middle East in order to protect our interest out there.
What do you mean
Um,
a Christian stronghold? Because we don't. Because Israel's not a Christian stronghold. It's
yeah, but they're a Christian ally. Like,
loosely, but technically speaking, you're right. Yeah.
There is like that
not even
famous
isn't.
conspiracy. Well, it was actually kind of true. Like it started off true. I don't know if it's extended, but like uh, part of the lobbying when they were given the state of Israel was that Americans would essentially have like a direct path to Jerusalem. And so, I mean, you can get back to the Christian nation's like core when you kind of lobbied for them and stuff like that. And so we kind of helped establish them. I don't know if it's like true to this day that they did that, but like the original lobbyists at the time were like they actually considered it.
Yeah, I agree. Dude, this whole thing. I'll be honest with you. I'm on my conspiratorial shit. So I would not honestly be surprised if we
Put the
found
cap
out
on, John.
somehow some of the funding was probably coming from Israel for Hamas, was probably coming from a Western country versus Iran or Lebanon or Jordan. Simply being, I mean, y'all remember the Gulf of Tonkin? How we got into the Vietnam War?
False flag, or am I
We,
wrong?
huh?
Was false because of a false flag, or am I wrong?
Because they said that we shot. They said that they had two Navy ships were
Yeah, the
shot at
ships.
or sunk.
Yeah,
But when we did our reporting, we found out that it never happened, and it was just an excuse for us to go into Vietnam. That we needed a trigger, we needed a spark point. Now, Gaza, I don't even call it Palestine no more because country's really non-existent. They really don't have any representation on the world stage. I don't think they'll be participating in any Olympics coming up. I don't think they have a basketball team for the Euros. The country's representation is basically nil on the world stage. So I'm conflicted because we in the Western world would never allow something like that to happen. What happened with after World War II when we brought it when Britain really did it, but when we and Western powers that be decided to give a country's land that was already existent with already a territory around there, like a defined line, and just gave it to a group of people or immigrated them in. So like anybody in that position would fight back. One. Two, as far as Hamas is concerned, I don't know, dude. Terrorists do exist 100%, but it's like, do you think Hamas believe they can win this war?
yeah.
That's the hard part, right? Because they're like
How?
religious zealots,
That's
so
good.
it
I
is.
said it. Religious zealots, because the religious zealots, I think their faith kind of. I don't know if it's fair to say force, but like they, I think they believe if they believe
Haven't you
hard
seen
enough,
that
they have such
image
a
of?
strong faith.
But haven't you seen that image of religious zealots like so consistently? Like I ain't gonna lie to you, Hamas got the best marketing team I've ever seen because we've all known about Hamas or heard the name before, but like all of a sudden Hamas is attached to everything. And this isn't the first time, not even in the past year that they've exchanged uh, fire between Israel and the Gaza Strip.
I know the
So like,
pictures of the
why is
Iron
this one?
Dome, and that's a popular image going around. That's
We
crazy.
but we saw
Yeah,
this
it's
literal
wild.
same image. We saw this literal same image almost 7, 8 months ago,
Yeah.
before the last ceasefire. So like, for this one to be so like widely propagated or widely like publicized, to me just raises a red flag, to where I've never questioned, like, my parents from a third world country, Nigeria. Like, I've seen and also secondhand have heard of how a lot of these terrorist groups, we have one called Boko Haram in Nigeria. When you look at how they actually started, most of the times it's funding from the same people they're at war with right now. So like, I just my conspiratorial side tells me somebody triggered this whole thing to happen so they could wipe these people off the face of the earth, bro. Because we're about to watch an extinction of a whole culture. And so like, when we have to talk about the Palestinians in the past tense and their only representation is in other countries, like,
Oh, I see
are
what you're
we are,
saying.
are we now okay? Like, when we say we're supporting Israel, because Israel's gonna wipe them off the face of the earth. It's not
It's
even
not a fair fight. It's not a
it's not
fair
a fair
fight.
fight. So like, you telling me they don't have police? You telling me the hundred, even if you want to call it 1,000, maybe let's 20,000. Let's say there's 20,000 Hamas members. This is still not a reasonable reaction if you're critical of what America did after 9/11. If you're
It-
critical of how we went to the Middle East after 9/11, you have to be critical of this.
yeah, I think that's the issue right now because my big thing, my biggest critique is not even between Israel or Palestine. I'm pretty sure I've been consistent, and I'm gonna be consistent here too. Let them deal with themselves. Israel deal with
And
Palestine, Palestine with Israel. I agree with John 100%. Unfortunately, it's not a fair fight, but God forgive me, not my problem. What my issue is, why do we have Americans protesting in New York, choosing the Israel side or the Palestine side with their flags waving? Y'all are Americans. What are y'all doing? That's what I personally don't understand, and I guess I kind of want to, I guess, dissect with y'all, get y'all's opinion, see if I'm being a little heartless here, I guess, or insensitive. Which is, I don't understand why people who are Americans, and I'm not talking about people who are asylum seekers or the refugees and they're representing that. I mean, that makes sense to me. I'm talking about actual Americans, for example, Rashida Tlaib, I'm pretty sure that's the one I'm talking about, who has a Palestinian flag outside her freaking office. You're an American. I don't understand
wait,
why
what did you say
you.
her last name was?
Let me confirm it's Rashida Tlaib. It's one of the four.
She said Rashida Tlaib. You just heard the answer to your question.
There, yeah, it is her. I don't care. You're American. She was born in America. She may
But you
have
said it
her
was a
name may be
religious.
Rashida Tlaib, but
But you said it
she's.
was a religious. It was a, this. The reason they're fighting is religious.
Oh, I'm talking. I didn't say the reason they're fighting was religious. I'm sure, like,
You
it
think
started from religion, but the reason they're fighting now was because of that or that whatever strike, whatever attack Hamas did on that thing, and it's
we can
on
say
the
all that, but the
concert.
reason they're
Exactly.
fighting is for Jerusalem. They're
It's
fighting
a
over Jerusalem. They're
it's a
fighting over the
propagation of
promised
things.
land. A
I
hundred
get you.
percent. But
I,
at the end of the
My
day,
point still stands, though. She's an
no. But
American,
that's what I'm saying. But she's a Muslim American.
but that's fair. But it still annoys me. I guess that's why I'm saying like that's why I'm opening up for challenging me because I just finding it annoying. I'm going to use Rashida Tlaib as my my figurative person to talk about
Mhm.
the entirety of people in America, which is I just that's always bothered me and it'll continue to bother me. How you were born in America, raised in America, but you fight so hard for non-American issues. I just don't understand that. Like, why are you out in the streets protesting this? You weren't attacked. America wasn't attacked. You're like, I don't know. I don't know. I that about this whole thing. No, the loss of life and the degree of the loss of life is definitely tragic. I'm not saying that I don't that doesn't bother me. I just don't want to speak too much on it because it's not my fight. I'm not an Israeli. Is that like is that
yeah,
right?
it's
I'm not
really.
not an
Israeli.
Israeli. I'm not a Pakistani. Like I'm not even a Jew. I'm not even a Muslim. Like
That's the end.
I do agree with the ridiculousness of like taking the conflict out of the conflict zone Like it's almost
That's
like
a better
a
way to word it. Thank you, Doc. That's a completely
it's
better way
like
to word it.
I don't know. To
Trying
me,
to finish the job.
I feel like some people like that. It kind of it's almost like the remnants or the ripples of like watching a sports event from a distance. You know what I mean? Like you get into a
That's
fight at the
weird.
bar over like a sports team and stuff like that. I know it's obviously like a culture and it's obviously a religion and stuff like that, and so
No,
it's
but it's the
deeper.
same energy. I
Yeah,
think it's a good example. It's the same energy, and it's still weird.
yeah. I respect people being like standing up for Palestine because they don't want the loss of life. They don't want the extinction of that, that group of people and stuff like that. And it's a real complicated like situation because you also have the Israeli people who were attacked from Hamas, and this is I think like the largest attack they've done or something like that. They killed like 700 people or something like that. Because they didn't just attack the concert; they attacked like the borders. They fired at people. They also dropped the missiles at the same time. It was just like a coordinated strike across the
I think I
board.
was just talking about the starting point. I'm pretty sure that's what
Yeah,
started it, and then exactly.
I,
Because
I
it's a
think the
lot that's been going
I
on.
think the most loss of life was at that concert because those people were just defenseless and they
Yeah,
were captured or murdered. And you have this is when John started talking. I was like, oh shit! I was like, there's a
It's like a
pretty
movie.
yeah, there's like a pretty like nefarious background hand that could have made a decision that goaded the Israeli to attack this city and just wipe it out. Because, like, dude, like those people are heated. It's like from what I've heard from some of the Israeli like media that I've seen, uh, as far as like individuals talking about it and like they're venting their emotions, it's akin to their 9/11. So the people are rattled and they're just enraged and they want to just attack and so it's there was a player in the background that goaded the Israeli to attack, like that's rough, and that'd be crazy. But the loss of life, I think, even like other people seeing it, because at first everyone was like, "Yeah, go Israel," and then they started seeing what they're doing, and it's just like, "Whoa, this is too much." Like you're displacing 2 million people. That one strip houses 2 million people, and only like John said, 20,000 are in Hamas's like military group, and so the amount of loss of life that's going to happen and the destruction and chaos is going to ensue. Like even if you kill Hamas, you have 2 million displaced people who are probably form an army or are going to be mad, and then the conflict continues. And so I don't think it's easy enough to say like I'm with the Palestinians or I'm with the Israeli and stuff like that. I think you just kind of have to watch it and be like it's one of those moments where violence doesn't beget violence, you know what I mean? And
see, that's what
so
I wish. Why can't we
We're gonna
just
see. We're gonna see who's really religious now.
yeah, honestly,
Who's
that's actually kind of true. Like they're going to try to see who's like willing to stop. I think like the statements Iran put out was really interesting because Iran was saying if they go into full on conquest mode or Israel goes into full on conquest, they're going to enter into a war. They're going to back up the Gazans because
the the
there's like a
narrative already been out there. I think what's his name? Lindsey Graham already called this a religious war. It's like, whoa, buddy, whoa, reel that
well
back.
that's the
That's
tether that the Iranians have with the Gazans. It's that the religious culture, and
But that's
so
them. That's I come back to my point. That's them. If they want to have a religious war amongst themselves, go do
we
it.
do not
We
want war with the Arabians. I
we
promise you that.
I
I
like
promise you that.
I think Americans as a whole don't want war, period. That's why I don't understand why we're so quick to be like, oh, y'all are fighting? Let's get involved. Y'all want money, y'all want guns, y'all need ammunition, y'all need soldiers?
I
We'll
actually
help
think.
you.
Oh, well,
Well,
I haven't seen the politics on this side. I've only seen like whatever's risen to the top or whatever like media stuff has floated to the top. And from what I've seen, like Biden's put out like we need to stay aware of the loss of life. And then I feel like everybody's like, oh, we need to hold off because
no,
they're about to starve and siege 2 million people. I mean,
they're
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 pretty they're divided. You obviously have the Republicans who they like there's both sides want war. They're just on different sides of the war. You got the Republicans who completely want to back Israel and enter this holy war and be like, we gotta defend our allies, we gotta defend Israel, our allies in religion, blah blah blah. Like I don't know the exact narrative, but they're all
yeah.
about, Israel. Then you got Democrats. I'm not saying all the Democrats. I'm putting them all in a box here. Some of them could be different, but from my understanding, a lot of Democrats are like, no, we got a Palestine. They were displaced out of their country. They only want to go. They just want to go back to their country and go back to their homeland. Blah blah blah. Like we got to help them. Defund Israel. You got a picture or a video of AOC crying because her bill to defund Israel failed again. So like I just don't like again, I come back to my point. I don't understand what we got these officials who are supposed to represent us, not representing us. Like, God forgive me. Let them fight. If they really want to fight, get it out of their systems. I don't see why we have to get involved. You're muted, John, if you
I
want to speak.
I think we do have to get involved because Israel, like John said, is preparing to wipe out an area that houses 2 million people.
I don't think it's gonna be that easy. Like John, you're muted. John, you're muted.
That's how we get most of our information through the Middle East is through Israel. Like most of our intelligence over there comes from Israel. So it's literally in our best interest to protect Israel.
I do
Yeah.
think that we should stand with our allies, but I also think we should counsel our allies well enough to be like, "Yo, you're preparing to wipe out a culture, like
I have a
because
question
you're
for y'all.
mad."
They
You know,
don't care. That's the thing. Like,
Jo-
I agree with you, Doc. We should, but do you really think Israel's gonna be like, you know what? That's a good point. We probably shouldn't
that's the
do
hard part,
this.
right? Because they're mad enough. 700 people just died on their side, and so they're mad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, that's the complexity of the situation.
would y'all say that Republicans were against the war in Ukraine?
No,
So everybody was pro war in Ukraine?
everyone wants to fund Ukraine because at the end of the day, that's how politicians get paid.
Okay.
Mm, I
So
actually don't
then,
know. I've never pondered that.
What do you mean? It's very obvious. Every single Republican, every single
all right,
Democrat is
so they
pro-war.
embezzled.
The only
So
embezzling, exactly. The only politicians who are anti-war are the young politicians. You got
you
he's
got
not a
look at
politician, but Vivek Ramaswamy, Trump, Matt Gaetz, the five that voted for what was his name that just got voted out as Speaker of the House?
I don't know.
No, it wasn't Mitch McConnell. Whatever
No,
his name was. Like those five Republicans that vote or eight that voted him out, those are the only ones that are will most likely, in my opinion, based off the policy they've been producing and the actions they've been taking in office, are the vote to defund Ukraine or to stop funding them. Period. Every other Democrat and Republican is completely on board with war because, again, my conspiratorial mind, I'm the crazy Republican on this or whatever. I don't really identify as Republican. I'm more of a libertarian slash pretty close to anarchist, but I think that's how they get their money. They're in war because, like John said, they want to embezzle. I don't understand
well,
how these politicians are millionaires when they have a 200K annual salary. It makes no
I also
sense.
think there's like a embedded
Like
like
this book.
fear of Russia. You know what I mean? Like those people are old enough to have
So
grown
let's
through
make
the
them
time
mad.
where they like hate Russia and they're just like, all right, whatever, just stick it to Russia. And like that's also a possibility.
That's true. That's true.
To be honest with you, this seems like a Western offensive.
Completely
Everything
agree.
seems
Completely
this
agree.
really seems like a coordinated Western offensive. When you're talking about what Ukraine just did to Russia, probably set Russia back easily 20 years as far as like wanting to try and poke their chest on the world stage towards somebody again. Like y'all couldn't really even take over Ukraine, and all we did was send them some bucks and a couple guns. They was able
Some
to handle
bucks.
you
We
guys.
sent them trillions of dollars.
Like
We just
I'm saying,
recently,
we just funded it. We
yeah,
funded the war, but we didn't have to get our real hands dirty. And it kind of simmered down the Cold War between us and Russia for a moment because they they just have more pressing issues. Like they have stuff they have to deal with before you can come meet us on the stage of
the
poking your
immediate
chest
issue
out.
is Ukraine, but
I,
once that issue resolved, they're immediately putting their eyes on us. They hate
yeah,
But
that's I agree with that. It's the
but
eye before the storm because if once they
correct,
conquer
but
it, it's just like, yo, we saw what you did.
financially, what if they don't deal with it? Like that's what I'm saying. They're at a pivotal moment that they have to focus on Russia. It seems like we're trying to deal with anything we got going on in the Middle East so we can have a concerted effort whenever we feel like Russia needs to be addressed.
So
But
you think that Russia felt like it was losing or it's having its own problem to deal, and we were going to outpace them, so they started this mess, like in the background? to
No,
get
I
us
think
into a similar
No,
situation?
no, I
I
think
don't. I
Ukraine's
think that.
losing Russia.
I think we saw that the battle wasn't straight up with Russia and Ukraine, so we used it as an opportunity to. It's like if you're watching Dynasty Warriors and you have like your vanguard, maybe you have like 20,000 troops in your vanguard. They're fighting, but they're fighting an opposing 80,000 troops in a bigger vanguard or whatever. And then instead of sending them reinforcements, we're like, okay, let's flank and deal with what we have going on here and focus over here because for the meantime, they are holding their own against the vanguard. Like, if Ukraine was losing this war, this would be a totally different landscape for everything we have.
I think there's a lot of things happening in the back end that we have no idea about. Because, from my understanding, I think Iran. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you guys know, Iran joined China and
Warning.
Russia in this attempt to like change the world currency, like because that's
Correct.
China and Russia. They're trying to circumvent the American dollar, and
Dollar.
I think I
Correct.
think I think Iran joined that cause. So I think this Israel Hamas thing might be a ploy to get Iran involved to affect their allies. Like there's big plays being made that we have no idea what's going on. I'm just
They're
spitballing here. I
very
really don't.
beneficial. It can be very beneficial for us if this plays out accordingly.
It could also be super detrimental if it doesn't. Like
I just think I'm gonna be honest
this
with you.
was
I don't
such a
think
random
politicians.
thing that there's no way someone didn't say pull the trigger like we're gonna do this. We have to do this. This is like us playing
I,
Warhammer. I'm staring down either the Necrons or the freaking Death Guard. I'm like, I gotta make a charge. I have to charge. I cannot not charge. But which one?
I
Yeah.
think, and this is me as an American. I think America is sticking to an old plan that they thought was a grand scheme as far as like how long the plan would be effective for. But in my honest opinion, I don't think it's effective. And I think we're a little bit panicking to maintain something that even if we prolong our world domination as far as like the vibe on the world, it's eventually just like it's caving in a little bit right now, dude. Like
I
if the
completely agree
middle
with that.
if Iran, Jordan, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia join Palestine and they say, you know what? Fuck the Gaza Strip. We gonna get y'all Jerusalem back. What happens then? And then what happens if Ukraine starts losing the war because we're not spending the money we're sending them on guns and military and da 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 da? We're screwed. We're actually screwed. Like we're spread thin right now, and we haven't even sent troops.
Yeah, I think financially, and that honestly might be the biggest fear as to why the administration doesn't want the, everything to escalate because it's just going to add more
Nah, they want it to escalate.
kindling.
I disagree with that completely. They want it to
Short
escalate.
term,
That's
they
the
have short
point.
term goals. They have short term goals. That's why I said we thought it was like a grand scheme, but it turns out like for the longevity of things, like it's the way we went about things in the past. I'm not saying we're still going about it that way, but I'm saying us trying to maintain the facade of what we represent versus what our actual interests are. It's like when you find out, like it's like when you hear Christian Bale cursing out the people on the staff. You guys are fucking nothing without me. Da, 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 this is my movie. I'm the main actor. Y'all sit down. Y'all shut the fuck up. You say action when I tell you to fucking say action. And but then all you see on the red carpet is this well-spoken guy. Stops and he says hey to the fans. Da, da, da. You see Ellen DeGeneres. She's always dancing and giving money away. Then you find out she's a total bitch to their staff. It's kind of like what America's really like battling right now: our image versus our actual interests. And I don't think we
100%
can
agree with that.
maintain both.
I agree with that. Cause I completely put the blame on our politicians. We have what these 80-year-old people who have been in politics so long. I think John's correct. I think they've had this goal, this long-term goal in mind. Somehow, some way, it's not panning out, and they're forcing it through. And what their intentions are, no freaking idea. But I'll tell you this: it's not for the benefit of America.
Don't work how they think it's they old ass.
And it comes to the hubris of, I don't know if it's the hubris of America or the hubris of these politicians, where they genuinely think, I think even Pence leaked a little bit in one of the debates, like they genuinely think that we should be the world superpower, the world standard, the world police, like anything going on in the world, America has to be involved somehow, some way. We need to be the referee. We need to be the coaches. We like I I don't get it. Like I genuinely don't get it. Like it's I don't know if it's America or if it's our politicians, but this ego that we have, I'm gonna put it on all of us Americans as a whole. To be honest with you, I'm gonna put it on America as a whole. I think our ego as America has gotten way too big. We really think we're the entire world, and I think we got to have a humble. And I think we're going to experience it soon. It's going to be a weird reality check.
First week of this podcast will finally be vindicated.
I
You
think
said what?
So I said the first week of this podcast will finally be vindicated because we're gonna have to come back to our borders. We have to bring it all home. Remember, I said this a long time. We got to reset. Bring it home.
I agree with you. And you said it too. Like, bring it home. Let's become isolationists. Like, y'all, it's a. I've had this conversation before, and people are scared. You know what happened with what will Russia, what we're trying to do, because they're itching to become the next superpower, the next world. Like they're ready to stand at the
That's
stage, the
fine.
podium that is the world stage. I agree with you. In my pregnant, that's fine. The entire world who screams "F America." You even had Palestine recently. The entire I don't know if they're congressmen. I don't know if they're the parliament. I forgot. I don't know exactly how the government system in Palestine is organized or structured. But you had all those people chanting "Death to America." These people don't like us. Fine, you don't like us. Deuces. Deal with these people instead. Then, and whatever they do, that's y'all's problem. I really think America needs to Iron Dome the entire continent and just say, y'all deal with each other. Y'all didn't like us. See how you guys like everyone else.
We also got to accept some people probably got good reason not to like us. My
That's
bad.
fair. It's
But like,
probably true.
we just
Let
gonna have
us
to just keep bring it home. Just
bring
bring
it,
it home.
bring
Okay,
it
guys.
I mean,
home.
My
if we
bad.
do that, we would be just like Britain, because I mean, Britain did the same thing where they ran out, they conquered everybody, then they were like, all right, we're bringing it back in, and
We
so
just
we
have
would do
allies.
their states.
That's what allies are for. Not these
So
fake not these fake countries that you can just tell like other countries run. Like actual allies, countries with actual independence, like their own actual
Actual relationships.
relationships and everything. Like, yeah, like I don't know, dude. The
It's just
actual
fake. The problem is
if you look
everything's
at a
so
map,
fake that it's crumbling.
if you look at a map like a political map, it's funny because it's called political map, but it's probably the most inaccurate map as far as geographically, like how it's like where the lines and the borders are. That's not at all how the world works. It shouldn't even be called a political map. That is not how at all the world works. It should show the real borders. These countries don't fuck with these countries. These two countries over here, they cool. This country stuck in the middle of three other countries. Just think about even from poor Israel's point of view, they are literally surrounded. Like if we sent them
I
help,
think
you
everyone
think we
around them's
sent
like
you
Muslim,
think we
aren't
sent
they?
them two you said we sent them two tankers? You think we sent them two tankers because of Pakistan?
they're yeah, they're surrounded. That's part of the reason why they have the Iron Dome, and they
Or
have
is it
like
an
the
excuse to
top
have two
cybersecurity.
tankers right by Iran? Or is it an excuse to have two tankers right by Jordan? Or is it an excuse to have two tankers right by Lebanon?
It's
Like
definitely to stand
it's
big next to
very convenient. It's the same thing it's the same thing that Russia did with Cuba. It's very convenient. Y'all want to try and have missiles on Cuba? That's convenient. Now we can say, oh, we're just sending all this stuff to Israel. We're just sending them 1 million troops. We're just sending them tankers and tanks and the Marines, and we just sending them. It's just for the Pakistan problem, though, just in case, right? And then just in case something happens with what Iran and all them countries, guess what? You have two tankers there. Man, all that shit is a facade. All that shit is an excuse. And then if I'm the Iranian president and I'm like, bro, y'all got these tankers outside my country. Y'all say it's for Israel, but I have a problem with y'all being in my water space. So what we gonna do? Would he be wrong? Would he be wrong if he didn't want the tankers to even go through his water to get to Israel? I don't know what y'all gonna do when y'all get over here. No.
I don't blame him.
Now, if
I really don't.
he does anything to one of our tankers, what happens? What do we have
War.
to do? What do we
Go
have
to
to do?
war.
We have to kill hundreds of thousands because you made our flag look weak when you attacked our ship. Even Hamas, you know how it started? Israeli tanker or Israeli police, whatever, ran over 4 Palestinian workers. Hamas was started from people called the Brotherhood, 1987. That's how Hamas started. Look where it's at now. Look what it caused now. 4 people. So to me, that history is right there, dude. To me, politicians, all these dudes, they know what's going to happen when certain things happen. You don't have to do those things. We know how it plays out. There was 2 world wars. We seen them. We seen how it played out. We seen how many people we lost, but
So
we
last
still made the
question,
same
let's move
decision.
on. Do y'all think this is gonna result in World War III? Do you think this is one of the first, if history looks back on this time frame, do you think this will be the point, like this is what started World War III?
Maybe. I mean, World War II started from World War One started from one dude dying. So
Frank Ferdinand.
700. I mean, it's got definitely the potential. I mean, dude, like these people are mad on both sides, and eventually the fires are just going to get fanned higher and higher, especially if they go into extinction mode and push everyone out of Gaza. Well, the messed up part is that like they're saying like we're going into Gaza, and the Egyptians are like, well, we're not opening the bottom borders, so they're like, so what's going to happen to those 2 million people? And everyone's just like, I don't know, but we're doing what we're doing. And so it's just like, well, you have those 2 million people in a grinder now. So that's why I'm saying, like, I feel like there's definitely counseling. I mean, the UN's already counseling to be like, hey, chill out. There's a humanitarian crisis. You got 2 million people that you're starving now, so you can get into the tunnels to rescue 200.
This is war. They don't care. Like this
Yeah,
humanitarian crisis stuff. This is war. There's no such thing as humanitarian issues. It's war. That's why I don't like this Western perspective of gotta be humane. We gotta be tolerant. We gotta be empathetic. It's war. That's all out the window. They declared war. None of that is going to penetrate that mind, and they're going to be like, "That's a valid point." No,
well,
they want blood.
I disagree with that because from what I've seen within the media of like people in Israel, they're just as upset with the president as much as like the conflict itself because the president ran on a podium that he could keep Israel secure. And then there's even like a right-wing general or a defense minister that advised Netanyahu, or I can't remember his name, the
Netanyahu.
Netanyahu. Yeah, they advised him about the security issues in certain regions, and he was just like, "Yeah, whatever." And then they got attacked, and the guy was like,
Got
"Dude,
got to save face. He's got to save face. So what
yeah,
did he do to save face? He declared war. He's gonna
yeah."
bomb the shit out of them.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like there's people within Israel too that aren't for it, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
Sure,
there's
but
also like
unfortunately,
people within the conflict. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if your brother died or if your family died during the 700 raid or whatever, then yes, you're mad enough to go to war. And then if your family died during the bombings of Gaza, then those people are going to be mad enough to go to war. But at some point, like cool heads have to kind of come through and just decide. If they don't, then you're just going to perpetuate the conflict for a longer period of time.
and what has been going on for decades that we prefaced when this first started this conversation, this has been going on for decades. That's the issue right now. They've been wanting to fight for decades, but we've been telling them, and I'm not we obviously being like I'm gonna say the whole world or America, however you want to say the
Yeah.
we is or put the we, but we have been telling them, no, y'all have to talk it out. Y'all gotta do this
But
peace
like, what's
stuff.
the
Y'all gotta
alternative? You just want to give them bigger guns and say, "Go have at it." Like,
no, my alternative is let them. We're gonna take our money. We're gonna take our guns. What y'all do have, y'all can keep. We're out of it. We may be allies. We did our part. We told y'all shouldn't do this. Y'all should do this because if you do this, this amount of deaths, this how will look on the world stage. Whatever. whatever we need to say to convince them or to help influence them not to do certain things they want to do, we should do that. But the moment they tell us, no, fuck you, we're still doing it, we're done.
I
We're
generally
done.
feel though like that's I'd like to believe that that's what we're intending to do.
I
But
don't think so.
I'm not attacking that. I'm more so attacking your statement of why you shouldn't preach for peace or empathy at a world stage in conflict.
No, I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't. My point is, it won't get to them. They won't hear the
Aren't there?
words.
There's rules of engagement that the I forget the World Council or whatever UN. There's rules of engagement under the UN and all that shit that like for example, you're not allowed to use mustard gas anymore, like
Mm.
certain shit like that. But it's funny because every time there's a war, they're broken. Every
That's
war, they're
that's my
broken.
yeah.
Every
That's
single
my
war. There's no war that ends up just being by the books. Oh, you can drop a
it's
missile on a town, but you can't like come on, bro.
like
After dropping a missile on a town, like what are you talking about?
God forgive me. This is my sentiment that I'm coming
Y'all
from,
gotta
my
use
perspective,
paintballs.
and this is probably something I got to work on as a Christian. But heaven forbid that anything. Let's see. I'll use you as an example, Doc. Let's say somehow, some way, someone broke into your apartment right now. We saw live. Someone just kidnapped you. Me personally, this is a joke. John and Talia, they say this all the time. John probably confirmed this. This is in me. My ass will turn into detective, and I'm watching videos. I'm asking questions. I'm hunting you down. No one's getting in my way. I'm finding you. No one stop. No one's giving me a voice of reason to let the cops deal with it. Gene, fuck the cops. They ain't solving this shit. Gene, just let the cops, the FBI, they got it handled. Blah blah. No, they don't. I don't trust these bitches.
Yeah, you
I'm.
gotta clip that. Fuck the cops, they ain't solving this shit. You gotta clip that. You gotta clip that. And please send it to me. Oh my
I
god, that's fantastic. Go ahead.
it's always been an inside joke in our group of friends. If anyone goes missing, that's when the crazy gene's coming out, and I'll find a way to find you. Like that's the
I'm gonna
sentiment
go to
I
cycle
had.
and make it happen.
And I think the sentiment Netanyahu was. I said amongst this world stage of my fellow Israelites, I'm gonna protect us. Oh crap! On my watch, they killed how many people? Hell nah. Bomb them. Bomb them.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean
I'm going scorched. I'm going scorched earth, and that's what he's doing.
his rebuttal was that he's going to eradicate Hamas, and he's definitely trying.
There's
Um,
nothing
He
we can
said that,
say to
but
make him want
he
peace.
said Hamas, but we know what he meant. We
that's what
know what he
everybody's trying to
meant.
say. They're like, "No, you said Hamas," and then you're seeing the rest of the city. But the hard part is like, dude, it's an idea. Like the terrorist like mentality or the group that bring it in. There's no like, oh, they wear black shirts. They're Hamas. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like that. It's the idea. Like, even if you let people exit through the borders, like they say they're not a part of the terrorist group and they leave, even though they were. And so I genuinely think that's why they're not letting the people leave the city. And then I know like the Egyptians themselves have issues with Hamas because those people also attack like their borders and stuff like that. So they're just they're cooping them all in there, and there's just so many other like civilians that are just suffering on the sidelines because of what this one group did. I generally think like that's where my sympathies lie. Like when I think about it, I think of them, and so for me it's easier to be like, nah, don't go scorched earth. Like you got to be precise. And the Iranians have said that they would help be precise, that they would help go and get Hamas out and stuff like that. But they will fight for the Gazans if they go scorched earth completely. So it's kind of up to the Israeli prime minister what he wants to do, whether he wants to accept Iranians' help to just pluck Hamas out, or if he just wants to wipe out the entire city because there's only one way to be sure. And at
The
that
real
point, he's got
rulers
to
of the
fight
earth,
an Iranian.
the real rulers of the earth just spoke, bro. Exactly what they said is gonna happen is gonna happen. Saudi Arabia said they're gonna help you do what? When you heard Saudi Arabia said they're gonna help do anything, to do what? Right now, man, look, I don't know what to call them. It's either the Qatari versus the Emirates or the Dubai guys versus the Saudi Arabian guys. There's some other shit going on too, bro. For Saudi Arabia to say some shit like that, man, all right, that's exactly what's gonna happen. They're just gonna get rid of Hamas then. Apparently, we killed Bin Laden too, right? That's what I'm saying. No, I'm
I
saying we killed him. Bin Laden was that the end of the
no,
Taliban?
the leader I think or whatever, but was at the end of it? No.
No. So how do you eradicate Hamas? It's an idea.
Yeah.
That's the. I mean, that's kind of the issue. I
You're
don't know
creating
if
the idea by
it kind of
destroying
makes me wonder if like Netanyahu's like end game is like I'm going to hurt you so hard this time that it makes you think twice about the next time,
correct and
Probably.
eradicate.
and that's
Yeah.
probably why he's doing what he does.
Put Palestinians on the endangered list. Prove a point.
Like this to clarify my position, I'm not for the war. I'm not saying they should go to war. I want them to be in war. And
Completely
we
against
like
it.
I'm completely against it. My only point is I just don't think there's anything we could do or say that'll convince them otherwise. And anything we do try or say is a waste of time. So at the very least, we should just clean our hands of it
I'll ask y'all a question
because
then.
they're already dirty as is.
I know we probably got another topic, but I have to ask a question. What would America have to deal with if every time a section of the country did something, or a portion or individual that represented America did something on foreign soil, we had to deal with full repercussions like this? What if an American killed another person in their country?
Uh,
We usually let them get tried over there.
They
yeah, I was
tried
about to
over
say
there,
we
right?
hang him out to. I think we hang him out to dry pretty much.
Yeah, unless there's like some weird situation where it's like their rules, they didn't understand their rules or something.
I mean, look at what happened with what's his face, and it wasn't even anything too extreme. What that one white kid in North Korea didn't he like
Oh
take a
yeah, I was just thinking
picture
about that
or
dude the other
do
day
some
for
kind
some
of
reason.
prank? They
He
fucking
pulled,
killed the kid.
yeah, he pulled like a propaganda poster down or something because he wanted to steal it, and then
Yeah,
they put him in like a labor camp, and then when they sent him home, they basically like tortured him, beat him to the point to where like
Died like after a
real,
couple weeks.
yeah, they ended up getting him in like a vegetative state, and then he died a couple weeks later.
and we didn't do shit.
Yeah.
Okay. And they accepted North Korea didn't try to go to war for the poster or anything like that. I know it's a completely different scale. It was a terrorist attack. 700 people were killed or
No, but
affected.
that's the reason why I use that example. Something as minor as that.
But I'm
I
saying,
don't
at
know.
what point
But
does
I
Hamas
get what you're
represent
saying.
all of
Yeah,
Palestine versus what else happens everywhere else in the world?
I get. Yeah, it's like I said, I get your point. I don't know because I mean, they even said it right there. Hamas. It's a. I don't know if it's fair to call them a terrorist organization based off their actions. I think it's fair to call them a terrorist organization, but at what point is that representative? I generally don't know. You could make the argument. You brought up the points when they were formed and how long they've been formed and the growth. They're at least they at least have some supporting enough to stay alive, and I think that's enough to be an issue. Because if they weren't supported, if they weren't getting support, the idea would have died. The problem is, it's been thriving, and at some point, maybe that does have to reflect on the people of letting it maintain.
We're doing all the marketing for them.
That's probably
Well,
true too.
Israel's
And you know
doing
what?
all the marketing for them.
That's fair. All right,
Well,
we've been
the
talking about
crazy
this.
thing is like that before I let you close it off, the crazy thing to me is that the idea is almost like set in stone though, because it's like I think their doctrine says that they are going to destroy Israel, like, and because they deserve the Islamic State of whatever they were, they lost when Israel was given to the Israeli, um, and so it's like you go in with this like religious zealotry into that idea that says like in a hard stone way you have to wipe these people out. And so for the Israeli side they're just like they genuinely have etched that into their minds. And so now the Israeli are like we have to wipe them out just to stop them because they never will stop.
Keep in mind, part of the agreement when they got there was we'll never let anything like what happened in Germany with Germany ever happen again.
Yeah,
Like they're literally the protected people.
and it's just yeah. I mean, it's just the conflict's just so heavy and deep that I don't think
He's gonna let it happen in the
there's
Palestine
anything
water.
most people can resolve it with outside of somebody either the Palestinians being like, look, we don't represent Hamas or Hamas doesn't represent us, and we'll give them over, or the Israelis being like, okay, we'll chill.
All right, enough with war talk and World War III and all this. Blah. Let's get some more controversial news. Let's come back to America exclusively with American problems. Here comes American problem for y'all. Have y'all heard about the Trevor Bauer and the Lindsey Hill fiasco?
No, what's this?
Let's get into it. So, quick summary, let's watch a video. So, Trevor Bauer was being accused slash sued by Lindsey Hill for either sexual assault or rape, somewhere along those lines. Grape, I'm sorry, YouTube. Grape. And eventually the case got dropped because the evidence proved that he didn't do it and that she pretty much lied. That's the short summary. Now let's watch the video that Trevor Bauer put out, and then we'll read this article. Lindsey Hill responding to said videos and all this other stuff coming out. So, Ian, the Twitter video.
Next victim, star pitcher for the Dodgers. A text Lindsey Hill sent to a friend before she ever even met me. What should I steal? She asked another, in reference to visiting my house for the first time. The answer? Take his money. So how might that work? I'm going to his house Wednesday, she said. I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll. Then, after the first time we met, net worth is 51 mil, she said. Bitch, you better secure the bag, was the response. But how is she going to do that? Need daddy to choke me out, she said. Being an absolute whore to try to get in on his 51 million, read another text. Then, after the second time we met, former Padres pitcher Jacob Nix told her, you got to get this bag. I'll give you 50,000, Lindsay replied. Her AA sponsor asked her at one point, do you feel a tiny bit guilty? Not really, she replied. Since then, her legal team has approached me multiple times about coming to a financial settlement. But as I have done since day one, I refuse to pay her even a single cent. In August of 2021, Lindsey Hill's claims were heard in court. And during those legal proceedings, critical information was deliberately and unlawfully concealed from me and my legal team. Information like this video, which was taken by Lindsey Hill herself the morning after she claimed she was brutally attacked, emotionally traumatized, and desperate to get away from me. And now we have the metadata, so there can be no dispute. It was taken mere minutes before she left my house on the morning of May 16th, 2021, without my knowledge or consent, of course. In it, you can see her lying in bed next to me while I'm sleeping, smirking at the camera without a care in the world, or any marks on her face. I think it paints a pretty clear picture of what actually happened the evening of May 15th and why the video was originally concealed from us. After hearing the evidence available to her, Judge Diana Gold-Saltman found that Lindsey Hill had misled the court. She found her claims to be materially misleading. She denied her request for a domestic violence restraining order, and she found that no sexual assault or non-consensual conduct took place. Now, some of you might not know about restraining order hearings. I know I didn't, but I've since learned that it's extremely rare for a request for a restraining order to be denied because the standard of proof that you need to obtain one is extremely low. So you can make of that what you will. The fact is, I was never arrested. I was never charged with a crime, and I won the only legal proceeding that took place without my side of the story even being heard. And most importantly, as I've said from day one, I never sexually assaulted Lindsey Hill, or anyone else for that matter. So I sued her, which prompted her to countersue me. Quite frankly, regardless of the outcome in court, I've paid significantly more in legal fees than Lindsey Hill could ever pay me in her entire life. And I knew that would be the case going in. But the lawsuit was never about the money for me. It was the only way for me to obtain critical information to clear my name. The discovery process in that lawsuit recently concluded, at which point Lindsey Hill's legal team again came to us with another proposal to resolve the case. This time, however, they weren't seeking any money from me. Having received much of the information that had been hidden from us, a small portion of which I've referenced here, I was willing to agree to the terms proposed. Both parties would drop their respective lawsuits, and neither of us would pay either side any money. I also retained my right to speak publicly about the case, something I have not been at liberty to do since June of 2021. So, as of today, both lawsuits have been settled. Now, over the last 2 years, I've been forced to defend my integrity and my reputation in a very public setting. But hopefully, this is the last time I have to do so, as I'd prefer to just remain focused on doing my job, winning baseball games, and entertaining fans around the world. So today, I'm happy to be moving on with my life.
Damn, he talks like a YouTuber.
All right, so you guys want to react to this real quick and you get to the Lindsay Hill response, or you guys want to get right into the Lindsay Hill response?
Did she respond?
I think she has a
Got
video.
an interview with Gonzalez.
Yeah, she had an interview with Gonzalez. I think she had a couple interviews. An interview with Alex Stein and whatever Gonzalez. Yeah. Here, let's just read this New York Post real quick, Ian. Let's read this real quick, and then we'll do a talk. So, Lindsay Hill responds to text and video claims. Trevor Bauer's accuser, Lindsay Hill, responded Tuesday to Pitcher's X video in which he revealed texts and one video meant to prove his innocence in response to her sexual assault allegations. The two settled their dual lawsuit recently with money being exchanged after she accused the 2020 NL Cy Young Award winner of the sexual assault. I should know what that is probably. The agreement between the two allowed Bauer to comment on the case, which led to him revealing the alleged series of texts and video Monday. One alleged text from Hill to a friend read, "Next victim, star pitcher for the Dodgers." While Hill acknowledged in an interview on Prime Time with Alex Stein that victim was not the right word to use, she said it was meant in a joking manner due to her past relationships and is being spun by Bauer without context. This was exactly what Trevor wanted to do, was random pick 3 or 4 texts and weave it into a narrative where I just look horrible. I explained that in my deposition and random things, I like to joke, I'm very sarcastic, sometimes inappropriate. Anyone who knows me would know that, Hill said on Primetime with Alex Stein. These are just private text messages with my friends, and agreed victim is not the word there, but in my past I have been involved with other baseball players. That was my world at the time, and I had already dated baseball players, and it was funny, sarcastic way to say, here's the next one I'm going to try and get attention from. And it was a lot of ego and attention-seeking behavior, which is what I can own, and what he can't do is own any parts. I can totally own the attention-seeking behavior, but these texts in the grand scheme don't address what happened at all. This was before any of our interactions or anything like that. Bauer also showed a video following the 2021 sex encounter with Hill, which Hill was smiling and appeared to be without any bruises. He said she was full of emotion at the time, and she had recorded that to send to her cousin to show that everything was fine. She was not even sure if she would speak up about the alleged incidents. She said the lack of bruises is due to the time needed for bruises to form. Hill said she has selfies from the time that clearly showcases damage. Any normal person can see that bruises will take time. Bauer's lawyer did not immediately respond to. That's a wild. I can't believe she said that. That's wild. Sorry. Bauer's lawyer did not immediately respond to a request for comment regarding Hill's remarks. Hill settling the case has put her in the crossfire of some who claim she was lying and said she is pretty numb to it at this point. I was more than willing to go to trial, more than confident in I was more than willing to go to trial, more than confident in what that would have portrayed and revealed on a public scale. Hill said, especially over the last year or so, I have completely crumbled and my soul has been crushed by litigations and all this stuff, and I just made the decision that nothing is worth public vindication or anything like that compared to what I was going through and feeling at the moment. I just had to make that decision that my mental health and my healing is more important to me than getting every single thing public and bringing the truth to the situation. Bauer received a 324-game MLB suspension after the allegations came out, the longest punishment ever handed out for a violation of the league's domestic violence policy. He explicitly said in the video, "I never sexually assaulted Lindsay Hill." Bauer pitched in Japan this past season. Okay. Some context real quick that wasn't in any of this. So the issue was and this was all consensual, and this is what led up to the judge dropping the case. Lindsay Hill consented to Bauer damn near choking her out. Lindsay Bauer got off to being choked out, and I'm sorry, Lindsay Hill got off to being choked out, and
It's
Bauer,
back
yeah,
narrative, bro.
and Bauer was stupid enough to say, "Sure, I'll choke you out." So I'm not sure if it was more than just him choking her. I don't know if it was she wanted to be slapped or not. As we've talked in the past on other podcast talks before, some girls like being slapped, as weird as that is. So what it sounds like to me, and I'll open it up after I say this to y'all, is Lindsay Hill voiced an interest in some extreme sexual pleasures that Bauer indulged her in, and then after the fact, she regretted. And then we got this stupid stuff.
I mean, do you think
So,
she regretted it, or do you think she was setting him up?
100% setting him up. I was
Yeah.
just trying to be politically correct here.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to be not politically correct. I was trying to be unbiased in my wording. Because I
Gotcha.
obviously come from the perspective, as I always come from when we talk about stuff like this, is she set him up. It's rigged. She's trying to get the bag.
I mean, it's wild that like texts like that leaked of the situation. It's also like, did he get paid when he was suspended? I don't know how that works, man.
Of course not. Of course
Because that's the
not.
crazy thing too, right? Like, we live now in a world where people can weaponize public like
Victimhood.
sexual allegations.
It
Victimhood. It's
depends
simple
on
fucking
him.
victimhood.
It depends on him. He could really Kaepernick right now. He could pull a good cap right now, because he can sue the league for unfair
Defamation, false
suspension,
termination, all this stuff. Like he
and
probably could.
especially if he missed out on pay, and especially if he says he lost out on sponsorships being associated with this until proven guilty. He has a good case as far as like suing the league, but it'll be hard for him to play in the league if he sued the league.
Yeah, that's
The
true.
sad thing about this also is the only reason why he was able to be free of this was because he had the finances to afford this.
We have to subpoena everything.
Yeah, that's
Imagine
true.
how
We would
much
have to
money
pay
he
through it.
spent just to subpoena everything, to get the evidence that was withheld from him, just to prove that he's an innocent man. How much money? Millions that he had to pay, probably.
While he was losing money because he was
While he
working.
was while he was losing, exactly. So this is I guess the question I want to open up to y'all is,
He spent
do we
millions and she ain't touched none of it. Dumb bitch.
You just burned it in front of her.
basically, like, so this is an issue I think we need to come together as society and I think be okay with, is at a certain point false allegations need to be either heavily fined or y'all got to see jail time. Whatever sentence he would have gotten if he did this, you need to serve it for falsely accusing him of it. Like, we need to deter this kind of stuff. I 100% think she tried to pull one over on him, and now she's trying to save face.
I agree. I actually think there needs to be some kind of deterring factor. It's just like it's so weird of a situation because with the advent of like technology and like the ability to actually publicly accuse people and weaponize victimhood because of mass media, we're in this weird situation where now we have to deter things that in the past like chivalry wouldn't have done. You know what I mean? Like we have this old mentality of chivalry where like, you know, if a woman, you know, cries grape, you instantly like you know, are at her side. But with the modern, I guess, like uh womanhood or feminism and all this stuff like that, it's kind of gone past the point of like, hey, here is empowerment to here is a weapon.
I
And
agree with Doc.
at that point, like, you have to deter the weaponization of it, if anything, just to save the women that need it for empowerment, so that when like they cry out, it's actually real and stuff like that. Because if not, it's going to suppress them if it just swings back the other way with the pendulum. I also think that for guys, there's got to be more than just a pat on the back of like, "Hey, sorry you went
Ah,
through that, bro." Like that, because that's all he got, man.
yeah,
Like, there's got to be
100%.
something more for that,
Dude,
because
that's wild. Like
yeah,
like you said, he went through the ringer. His reputation, his finances, his job, and career, everything is gone. And you're right. All he got was, damn man, that's tough.
yeah. I'm glad you made it out of that one, bro. And it's like, dude, that's not honestly
Yeah.
like at that point. Like, I know guys are tough, but like, damn, dude, like that's it. There's all this thing about men opening up and men crying and being more vulnerable. Like that is a vulnerable state of a man because everything he is has been put on the line and dragged through the ringer, and and then you can just tell him like, walk it off, man. Like, no.
Walk it off. Heck no. Nah. He's a
Tried
better
to
man
Amber
than me.
Heard him,
Yeah, that was the joke of the internet. This is the Amber Heard 2.0.
but I don't know. It's funny. You gotta stop being easy. You can't be a whore with money. Stop being a whore with money. Don't be easy, bro.
No, my thing is, I really think, unfortunately, yes, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna tie this into the degeneracy that we've fallen into, that is America and our sexual deviance. Why do we like being choked and slapped? How I
How he like
genuinely don't
choking and slapping.
I don't understand this. How is a girl requesting you to be like slap me, and your thought is hell yeah? What? I that's an instant red flag for me. Any kind of physical abuse that turns into a sexualization, hard pass. Hard pass. I've literally done this before. We've talked about this before. And I'll bring it up again. A girl literally asked me, slap me. I looked her dead in the eyes. No, you got me fucked up. Turned her
It
off. I was like, it is what it is. I guess I'm not your kind of guy. Like, that's not like no,
it reminds me
no.
of this thing I heard. What's that guy? He's like really clean cut. Usually wears like a suit. He's been on like Joe Rogan before. He's like Alec Friedman or something, or Liedman, or there's this dude who's a podcaster. I can't remember his name honestly.
Turn it up, John.
But he brought on this lady who's like got the biggest database of like kink data or something like that, or like fetish data. And she said that she figured out that like 60% of women want domination in the bedroom, and that like part like there's a disconnect because only 40% of
Want
men
to be
like to
pinned
be
down
dominant.
and fucked.
Yeah, more than likely, but like the disconnect again was that only 40% of men like being dominant in bed or something like that, and then 60% of women want to be dominated. But I'm thinking the reason why you have like women asking for that stuff is 'cause 60% of them, according to that fetish data, want to be dominated. So maybe he's a part of the group that he's just like, I'm just giving them what they want.
I'm sorry, there's a line. Like, I think the
Wait.
word women want to be dominated in bed, I think it's way too vague. What does that mean? I
Yeah,
think what that,
obviously it's
'cause
subjective,
from
very much
Hold on.
so.
my
I think hold on. I think this conversation is going in the opposite direction of
Where
what
it's
it was
like,
intended to go to, first off.
yeah, we're over
Second
here
off,
like, here, you can have this one.
I
You're
think
like,
it's
now, what is
interesting
a
that we can't
fetish?
find
I was trying to really like let's reel in real quick.
I think it's I think it's interesting that we can't find like the middle ground for women as far as like it seems like where and I'm not saying essays shouldn't be treated seriously, but it seems like the allegations most of the time they're targeted towards either somebody with some type of up and coming status, expected status, or somebody who already has status or money, right? Like the ones that we see on TV. So those ones garner the most attention when a lot of those can be false. A lot of these can be real, but a lot of those can be false. Whereas a woman could tell the police she has a stalker and like she damn near gotta be knife gotta be at her throat before you know what I'm saying, before it gets taken seriously sometimes. So to me it's like, oh, it's weird that it's like the place where we need to take the shit seriously. It's kind of like the place where we're lacking, and then we're like, we're just more interested on are these famous people graping these women. You feel what I'm saying? Versus like
Or these
the,
women
the
financially
real,
graping these
yeah, like
men.
the women that actually call, like, look, like, yo, here's the text message, here's everything. The guy's stalking me. He knows where I live. He's taking pictures of me. And you hear it all the time. I've been watching hella murders on YouTube, hella murder, kills. And bro, it's a lot of stories like that. So to me, it's just, I guess it's interesting. Not even interesting. Confused by it. Because we gonna talk about this bitch. She gonna be on 27 news articles. The girl with the stalker and all that shit do not make it to the news till she dead. That to me is kind of
Well,
like
not
the
to
work.
detract too much from the point you're trying to make, but my issue too is he's been vindicated, but he's still gonna have to live with this till the day he dies. People aren't going to be aware of that he was
News isn't
that
gonna spread the same.
exactly. People are going to see him as the guy who assaulted Lindsay Hill, and on the inverse, no one's going to know that Lindsay Hill falsely accused him. She's going to have no problem dating guys. She's going to have no problem finding a job. She's going to have no problem getting friend groups. She's going to have no problems doing anything in life.
In
I'm a little
fact,
I
more
think that's
optimistic than that. I
no.
think the opposite.
I'm
In fact,
completely
in
pessimistic
fact,
about
in
that.
fact, Lindsay Hill, depending on what she wants to do with her life, if she waits a year, she can market the fact that she was the girl that accused him of SA, and she'll just write a book on it or do some. Y'all heard of Selena Powell?
Yeah,
No.
Y'all know Selena Powell's the little nasty girl who be on No Jumper talking about all the famous people she had sex with and all that shit, leaking all that shit, right?
yeah.
Y'all know how Selena Powell got her start. Selena Powell was the girl that accused Justin Bieber
Justin
of getting her
Bieber.
pregnant.
Oh.
Then when she had to take a lie detector, she said, "Oh no, I was lying. Never met him." Still relevant to till today. She had one of the she was on No Jumper. She said she's in the top 0.00 something percent
Some
of
percent.
OnlyFans, making maybe
Millions.
a 150,000 a month, easy. Like depending on what this bitch decided to do.
She has she literally, that's my point, is she will literally suffer no social ramifications for this. Whereas he, despite being innocent, will suffer social ramifications for this till the day he dies.
She gonna go
I
home to her
think
homegirls and be like,
I
"Bitch, you
think
almost caught me."
that's wild. I think that's wild. That's such a disparity in, I don't know, consequences or how we react to this, how we treat this. It's I think it's a problem
He
that needs to
lost
be
millions.
addressed.
The league needs to reimburse him for his lawyers too.
I think Lindsay
Because there's
Hill will find monetary success. Like she can keep writing this if she really wants to. Although, like the statement she gave was super HR, like public relations.
it was written by our lawyer 100%.
Like text. Yeah, it's fucking cringe. I think the guy though, people will people will open up to his genuineness, and I genuinely think that he'll be fine at least on a personal relation. Maybe his wallet is gonna hurt, and maybe he's like past a really good year and stuff like that, and he's gonna have to make up all that stuff. And I'm I'm almost fairly certain that he'll have financial issues and she won't. But as far as like public relations, I think it's gonna be the opposite.
Nope, I disagree. Because every time he dates a girl, he's gonna have to talk about it. No one's
Yeah,
gonna know about Lindsay Hill. No
but
one's gonna ask Lindsay Hill. Everyone's gonna ask
And
him.
I don't
to
know, man,
Doc's
because I feel
point,
like you'll
to
have like
Doc's
genuine victimhood, like, and
to
I
Doc's
think
point,
people will
it
be
depends on the
nurturing around it.
to Doc's point, it depends on the public you're trying to appeal to. Whereas he's still trying to appeal to the wholesome public, which he actually represents or is a part of, versus what she technically represents, which is, you know, hot girls that, you know what I'm saying? Like, if she want to go to turn into selling ass and titties and
Brittany
shit,
Renners of the world.
yeah, like, but if she want to go to OnlyFans, or she want to go to doing club appearances, or she want to go to being on Love and Hip Hop and uh, Baddies, Girls, all these shows, right? She can pivot like that, but that's to that audience. Like that
Yeah.
audience, that type of audience will accept her. She not going to be
That's
on
fair.
Ellen DeGeneres or like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or any
I
of
mean,
That's
she
fair.
could sign a contract for a porno film tomorrow and
That's
probably
fair.
make a ton of money, but she'll never be able to do like a Hallmark movie or anything like that. And, yeah, that's I I think that's a bad example. But what John's saying, like she can't pivot towards the wholesome crowd anymore. Where he's gonna have to do the opposite if he really wants to make it.
My only
he ain't
point
touched a
is
bitch.
you have to go out. My only point is you have to go out of your way to find out Lindsay Hill falsely accused him. Whereas you just type in Bauer's name, you're probably going to see accused of sexual assault.
Very
So
correct.
my point is the steps it takes for both parties is different. You have to take so many steps to find out that she falsely accused this man, whereas you only have to take one step to figure out he was accused, not even found innocent. Take the multiple steps to figure that out. You just got to take one step, and all you hear, this man was accused, and now he's got to talk about it. And then once he talks about it, then they find out. And I agree with what you said, Doc. In his personal social circle, he's probably fine, probably been fine. My point is outside of that, because he's obviously not a married man, so he's got to go out in the dating market and find a woman. Hopefully, he's a little more discerning than he was before, but he's going to have to address that.
I think
He's
that might not be as difficult as. I mean, it might be like maybe like there's like
He's
shallow.
wealthy. Of course, it's
That's
not going
like
to be an issue. The man's
well,
got money.
yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Like he can kind of just like become like the Prince Charming of the situation, where like he has his wealth, and maybe there's people like on a shallow front that are like, I don't trust him because of everything that's come out. But I'm pretty sure there's a woman there that's like, if I do trust him and he is a genuine guy, I get all this wealth and I get like a genuine man, and maybe she's willing to take the plunge. And then if he is genuinely a genuine dude, well then he wins, a woman hopefully that he wants, and it just works out.
So you brought up that her HR lawyer speak. I had a reaction, so I want to address that. And then I'm ready to close this out. Which was when she said how the length and time it takes for bruises to show. Depending how hard he assaulted her, be it a choke or a slap, that happens instantaneously. A bruise is the breakage of a blood vessel. So if
She
you broke
clearly went to sleep after too and woke up.
Dude, how are you gonna?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, are you serious right
He's
now?
like, he's like asleep in like the most embarrassing way too. But I mean, that's the moment he pounced, dude. When he was in that, that's when he
It's like
attacked.
you
Left
like
downtown.
it literally makes no sense. Like he had to have choked you or slapped you, the softest slap and the softest choke to where it was that delayed for the
I
bruise to
said,
show. There's no
I
way.
said that man. I said that man in there barely choked her.
There's no way. Like for he
Her
to have
white
choked
ass,
you or slapped you to the point where you associate it as assault.
her neck supposed
That
to be
those
purple.
bruises are happening instantaneously. They're showing up. You're popping vessels. That blood's leaking through your epidermis or whatever the underlayer is called. I think it's the subdermis or whatever it's called.
You don't
3
know,
layers.
G. You don't have a law degree. You don't know. That lawyer has a law
No,
degree.
I
He
didn't take a
knows.
law degree, but I took biology. I took anatomy. I've taken all this stuff. I know I may not be an expert, but I have a working understanding of how this shit works.
Yo,
And that
I
was
ain't
a
gonna lie to
wild
you,
statement. That was a
man.
wild statement.
I've seen some in high school, whatever. We had white friends, man, and like, dude, they bump into the wall. And it's a bruise. Like,
Instantly.
I'm talking
Instantly.
like them niggas like old banana.
That's a pretty sure that's a thing with girls too, and I'm not sure if it's particularly white girls or just girls in general. I know girls who are clumsy and like they
And
bruise
they
just
just
because they bumped into a
everywhere.
desk. And it
Mm.
shows up instantly the day throughout the entire day. They come home and it's like, look at all these bruises because I bumped into so much stuff. Like, that's just a wild statement. Like the time it, I'm
Meanwhile,
gonna
the
read it.
whole
I'm gonna read
time
it
they
one
getting
more time.
abused at
I'm gonna read it
home.
one more time. That was such a wild thing she said.
Whole time they getting abused at home. And we believing him at school, talking about Brittany bumping into the wall again.
Any normal person can see that bruises will take
Brittany dad
time.
beating the shit out.
Damn.
Yo, that was so wild. Okay, let's close it out there. That was wild.
Oh, Brittany.
Ian got something for us here.
It's
Ian,
her.
when bruises occurs, the skin often turns red immediately, but the injury doesn't turn black or purple for 1 or 2 days, according to Kids Health. Most bruises take about 2 weeks to fade and go through several color changes, becoming less tender as they heal. The initial red color is due to the blood that collects under the skin, like I said, but Kids Health indicates that the change in the hemoglobin causes the dark purple or black color often associated with the bruise about a week later and fades to green or yellow and then becomes brown or yellow and fading completely. It's
So
not an
wait, hold
exact.
on.
Bruises
Wait,
are
hold
not
on,
an
hold on, hold
exact
on.
science.
So are you telling me that there's no immediate inflammation based on impact? I don't care
It's
what you're talking about as far as a bruise.
it's saying
There's
technically
no,
the redness itself would technically be the inflammation you're referring to.
but that would be immediate, correct?
That it's
The
it's
redness,
immediate. That's what it's
yeah.
saying.
And she
The
must have had
redness
makeup on her neck.
anywhere on her face. She must have had makeup on. Anywhere on her face, she must have makeup on. Because I don't know about y'all, I didn't see anything that looked like, damn, what happened to you? A busted lip, something. I don't. It looked like she was trying to show her lip when she did that weird purse thing. Like, and even her lip looked fine to me there too. Like,
I feel like that was like a show off though to her friend, probably. Like, look who I'm with or whatever.
what does Ian have
Or
here? Ian
he's like,
has during the healing process, a bruise will usually go through the following colors. It often starts red because fresh oxygen-rich blood has newly pooled underneath the skin. After around 1 to 2 days, the blood begins to lose oxygen and change color. A bruise that is a few days old will often appear blue, purple, or even black. In about 5 to 10 days, it turns a yellow or green color. These colors come from compounds called biliverdin and bilirubin that the body produces when it breaks down hemoglobin. After 10 to 14 days, it will turn to a shade of yellowish brown or light brown. But the thing they don't address here is all of this varies from person to person. This is not an exact science. We know how the process generally works. We know the given time frames, but there you go. So a
You trying to tell
bruise,
me? You trying to tell me I don't know a black eye coming before I see it?
that's that's what I'm trying to allude to. Is it all depends? All this depends. It depends on the severity of the. I guess the word would be trauma or impact. If it was something like bumping into a desk, yeah, it may take about a day or two for the bruise to show up. Sure, but if you were beaten, that bruise is not taking a day or two to show up.
And that word again, Gene. If you were what?
Beaten,
There we go with that strong beat.
abused, if have you like.
Be again.
And I guess I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm sorry, I'm going on too many rants. We'll close it out here. Thank y'all for tuning in to listen to us ranting about the Hamas and the Israel conflict. Let's all pray for peace and the
Let us know
calm
what y'all eat
resolution.
y'all's with. Y'all eat
Yes,
with pretzels, pita bread. Just let us know what y'all eat y'all's with, okay? Thank
and
you.
give the thumbs up for John's controversy. Hit the like button because we all love John's controversial topics and controversial jokes.
He picks the topics. I don't even pick these jokes. It's a person that just be.
They just come to you.
I try to get him. It's a trap. I try to trap him every single time.
Yeah, but he
And
knew that
also,
Hamas thing was gonna
oh,
pique my appetite.
yep. Also, leave a comment about the Lindsey Hill stuff. Let us know your opinions. Do you think we're also off base? Do you think bruises show up a day to a week later, or do you think bruises show
You
up
think the bitch is
instantaneous?
dumb? Jesus Christ.
Oh, okay. Please like the video if you haven't liked the video already. Leave a comment with all the things we just addressed about leaving a comment for. And if you haven't shared the video, please share to bring more people into the conversation because it's fun. We will see y'all next time on Fake Deep Thinking. We'll be back for sure. This time we're back on schedule. A lot of this stuff is hopefully done. If not, well, we'll see y'all when we see y'all. Peace.
Peace.
Yo, thanks for making it to the end. We really appreciate it and hope you all enjoyed the show.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button, and the notification bell to get notified when we post our clips.
Follow us on Twitter at PodcastFDT
Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok are all Fake Deep Thinking. Check us out, please.
FDT. Peace, y'all.
Peace.